Yes. So it's a couple minutes after 7, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. This is Jean Andrus, the Menopause Guru, and tonight we're talking on our 5th Summer Chill Out Hangout. And the topic for tonight is mood swings. When I sent out a survey a little earlier in the summer, I asked what the big important topics were. Not hot topics, well, hot flashes were one of them. So I decided that I would sort of go in order as to how people ranked them. And the first few were, let's see, we started with diet, then we went into hot flashes, and we talked about moods, sexuality, and we talked about, one other. We did not talk about brain fog yet. That one's going to have to come up, isn't it? So we're going to talk tonight about mood swings, and I've got some really great news for you. I've got something really, really cool coming up, especially for all of those of you who've asked about dieting and weight loss, and for those of you who've talked about food in relationship to how you perceive your symptoms, how your symptoms are affecting you. It's something that's really cool, and I think you're going to like it. And it's a major, major giveaway from me to you and you guys are going to be the first ones who have an opportunity to join in on this. So I'm excited to tell you about that, but I'm going to hold on to the end. So tonight our topic is mood swings. And if you've experienced mood swings, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, here's the deal on mood swings. Mood swings are when you feel like you're perfectly in control 1 minute, and boom, you're raging, or you're crying, or you're just down in the dumps and there's nothing that's going to go right. Or conversely, you're just humming along, feeling kind of down and out, and all of a sudden you're on top of the world, sunny side up, and everything's perfect. And it just doesn't feel right. It feels really, really weird because there's nothing that really triggers you to go from one to the other. Sometimes there's a little something, but it's the way you're reacting is all out of proportion. In fact, I know some people can consider this almost like bipolar. And some people wind up going to the psychologist or the psychiatrist or their GP looking for something for bipolar disorder. It's not bipolar. In most cases, if you haven't had this coming into perimenopause or menopause, this is still menopause. So let's try and fix it before you go to a shrink. And, if you need it, yeah, that's great. It's wonderful that those things are there. But let's try and fix it with natural stuff before we go into the psychotropic drugs, because they're addicting, they have a lot of side effects, and you may be sending yourself down a rabbit hole you don't need to be down. So, mood swings. What causes mood swings? Hang on, just a second. Well, the underlying cause is kind of interesting. We're going to talk about a couple of things that could be underlying causes. One of them is just the estrogen and progesterone fluctuations. And if you've read both Lighten Up and I Just Want to Be Me Again, and if you read the upcoming Chill Out, which it's really going to be good. It's good. I'm really proud of it. If you've read those, we talk about the fact that our hormones change minute to minute. It doesn't even have to be, it's not overnight. It's not monthly cyclical like it is for you most of your life up till now. It can be instant to instant. It can be instantaneous that you have these hormonal fluctuations. So progesterone's progesterone and estrogen, when those get low, sometimes that also affects your production of serotonin, which serotonin is one of the feel-good chemicals. You've got it in your brain, you've got it in your gut. Doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier, which means that the stuff that's in your gut doesn't really affect your mood. It can't get into your brain to help. So you can have serotonin levels that are great in your body, but it's not in your brain, and we don't have good ways of measuring what's actually going on in your brain, because nobody really likes having a needle stuck in their brain. It just really doesn't. And it's hard to get in. So serotonin is a chemical that has long been associated with depression, and when it's one of the main chemicals that they use to treat it are called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs. And the point of those particular drugs is to keep the serotonin that you have in your body there in your body. So it keeps it from being, the uptake piece is it keeps it from being reabsorbed by your body and flushed out. So serotonin is a part of this. And estrogen and progesterone both affect how much serotonin is actually produced. Another thing that can affect how much serotonin is being produced is how much good stuff you're eating. Tryptophan, which is a protein found in turkey and several other things, which I didn't write down actually. Tryptophan is the precursor for serotonin. So that crosses the blood-brain barrier by being escorted by carbohydrates, actually. So carbs, you need the carbs to take it across, take the tryptophan across the blood-brain barrier. There's some things I'll try and, I've written some of this stuff. It's on the MISG, My Inner Science Geeks, part of my website, about serotonin and depression. And I've kind of gone into some of this stuff there. If you can't find it, let me know. I found out that some of my web links weren't working from the book, and I've been fixing those as fast as I can. I'm going to ship out some stuff in a day or so. A couple of them just plain got lost. So progesterone, estrogen affect how serotonin is made. The other thing that's quite a factor in this is cortisol. And cortisol is our stress hormone, and I'm saying that really fast. And of course, stress is a huge factor in this. And the way cortisol affects us changes as we get older and have less estrogen in our bodies. Cortisol becomes more effective on us. And there's even some research that says cortisol actually affects us differently in our reproductive years than in our postmenopausal years. So as that's changing, cortisol is making an appearance, the stress factor is higher, and so these stress incidents in cortisol and adrenaline, or epinephrine, are very, very quick release. So they're made and released almost instantaneously in response to a stress incident. That affects our moods. So those are a couple of things. The last one, well, I want to talk about two more. The next one is that we are being driven crazy. It's the truth. We're being driven crazy. We're changing how we relate to the world. And I've talked about this before, and I talk about it in all three books. We are changing the way we relate to the world as we go through menopause. The estrogen receding in our body makes us less likely to be the center of the hub, which is sort of our role in our reproductive years, so that we can build a home, a house, a nest, as it were, for our families. So we've had that, and now we're changing. And so we're less likely to put up with stuff, or as I say it, put up with shit. And it's sort of like, how many do you give? Well, not a lot. the truth of the matter is no. You get to the point where you're saying, this is just not okay anymore. I'm not going to be the one who takes it all. That's important. That's a major factor in all of this as well, because we just don't want to put up with it. So we're ready, we react. And I know, actually, one of the fun things about this is every time I go in to start researching something, it's sort of like it comes back to me, and hits me in the face, and says, hey, remember this one? And so the last couple of days, or the last couple of weeks, I've had a couple of these instant mood shifts. And they're real. I mean, they're over real things, too. They're over that my husband isn't picking up the house, or he's not helping me out getting stuff done, or I've got so much to do that I can't get to everything that he needs to have done. So, and he works during the day, and I work here during the day, so I'm the one who gets to do all that stuff. So we find this out, and it upsets us. Another thing that's going on is just how many symptoms we're having. So if you're having hot flashes, and you're having night sweats, and you're having formication, itchy skin, and you're having joint pain, and you're having hot flashes, but cramps and odd periods, and all of this stuff keeps coming up over and over and over again. Aren't you in a bad mood? Of course you are. Of course you are. So part of it is just the sheer number of symptoms makes it easy for us to snap in an instant. Finally, there's some research out there, and we're going to talk about this in a couple of minutes, that links depression to gut imbalances, leaky gut syndrome, some other things that are going on in our guts, and some things that are going on in our food chain that have to do with that. And that's kind of the secret I'm going to tell you in a few minutes. But we're going to talk about how that plays into the depression, the anxiety, and possibly the mood swings as well. So we'll get there in a minute or two, but let's start with some other stuff here. First of all, what are your risk factors for having lots of mood swings? Well, one is having a household that's crazy. Second, alcohol, tobacco, poor diet. So if you don't get those precursors to serotonin, you don't have as much serotonin in your brain, and you're not getting that. You're not getting that really good diet. You're not getting the ability to make what you need in your brain. Inadequate exercise. Exercise is a huge factor in the production of endorphins and dopamine, which are other feel-good things that go neurotransmitters in your brain. Diabetes, thyroid disease, sleep disorders. Why sleep disorders? Because it's hard to stay calm and sane when you're not sleeping. As I was writing the book, I actually was the hot flashes book I was talking about, and you'll hopefully read this. And I was talking about sleep, and I started looking stuff up. And sleep, if you don't have sleep, if you're not sleeping right, sleep deprivation is actually a listed form of torture in the world courts. So it's international law that sleep deprivation is torture. So hot flashes are torture, folks. Stress, mental illness, relationships, strange relationship issues, and trauma. All of those are risk factors for having more mood swings. Okay, so yeah, you can actually be depressed. I talk a lot about my own original getting into this. It was depression that got me here, that really started this for me. So depression can be a big deal. It can come just from menopause, and it can come from just being having a bad diet, having all these hormonal changes going on, not getting the exercise, not getting the sleep, being being in a high stress environment. So what do you do for this? Number one, exercise. You've heard this from me before, haven't you? Healthy diet, you've heard that one too, like that. Stress management. And I talk about this all the time too. We can't reduce stress a whole lot. It just doesn't happen. We can learn to manage it. We can learn techniques to bring our stress levels down. We can learn techniques for not letting things bother us as much. It's cyclic too. Just think about it. It's easier to get triggered when you're tired and stressed and already stressed. So the stress is worse. So you go up, and it's like all these. It's just a big old cycle. So part of learning to not let things bother you is not having things bother you, or having the sleep and the food. And would you like to believe that my little dog, who is sitting right here at my feet, and she's not little, she's a great big Labrador, is telling me that she absolutely needs to go outside. So, come on. Come on. No. Sweetie, go. Sweetie. Now she's telling me she doesn't want to go out. So, sorry about that. Yeah, she's telling me she wants to be in my lap. No. So, sleep more, support. Get support from everywhere. Get support from, you know me, I talk about coaching. Get support from a coach. Get support from a peer group. Get support from your husband. Get support from your children. If you start to set some boundaries in your own life and say, okay, I'm just not going to do everything anymore. They'll learn, believe me. They'll either learn to live with it, and you do too, or they'll learn to do it. It's amazing. It's amazing. And you know, when your son or daughter goes to college, if you've got teenagers in the house, if your son or daughter goes to college and they know how to take care of themselves, they know how to do their laundry, they know how to make up a bed and clean the bathroom and cook something in a crock pot or whatever, and get themselves up and take care of their clothes and all of that stuff, how much better are they going to be? How much more independent are they going to be? You don't want to have to go to college with them. Really, you don't. If people need helicopter parents, they need to have young parents. Because you and I, we've got better things to do with our time than be a helicopter parent to somebody who's becoming an adult. Right? Cut out the caffeine. Caffeine's a stimulant. Makes you crazy. Okay, I'm wrong. Caffeine doesn't really make you crazy. It's like a necessity. Okay, it makes you crazy. But it can be a necessity too. So, especially at night, and you might find that caffeine is doing different things to you than you thought it was. I was a Diet Coke, iced tea, coffee drinker all day long, every day, until I was in my late 40s. One day I realized I wasn't sleeping, and I cut out the caffeine after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and all of a sudden I started sleeping again. Oh, I like this one. Take a time out. Mommy needs a time out. Grandma needs a time out. Wife needs a time out. I'm going to my room now. Take a break. You don't have to be in the middle of it all the time. It just doesn't have to be. My dog. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about this gut thing, because it's important, and the more I'm reading on it, the more I'm seeing that it's kind of a big deal. And so here's what I'm talking about. It's inflation. Too much politics lately. It's inflammation. And inflammation, you know what happens when you get a cut and it gets infected and it gets red and it gets hot and it swells up. That's external inflammation, and that's not quite what we're talking about, but it's real similar, because what happens is when you cut yourself, when you make a break in your skin, germs get in. Bacteria, viruses, whatever from around your environment. Now, your body says, oh, those are invaders. I need to do something about that. So there's a system in your body, not just similar to your blood system, similar to your nerve system. It travels around your body. It's called the lymphatic system. And the lymphatic system brings lymph fluid, and your blood brings white blood cells to attack whatever's coming in and kill it off so that these invaders go away and they don't get infected. Infection is simply a foreign pollutant, as it were, that gets into your body through an opening in your skin, or breathing in, or ingesting somehow. You can get infections from a number of different ways, but it's always something going through one of the ways into your body. So openings in your skin are huge. Eyes, in through your mucus glands, your mucous membranes in your mouth, or ingesting it into your stomach, whatever. What happens, according to these researchers that I'm reading right now, is that we have a whole system from the time food leaves our stomach that's designed to digest that food, finish the digestion process that starts in the stomach, and move that food value, the protein, the carbs, the fats, through the intestine, small intestine, large intestine, and absorb the nutrients and break it down further. And that's all done not just through the mechanical process that happens, but there's also our gut flora and fauna. They are bacteria that live in our small and large intestine, and we need them. If you kill them off, sooner or later you're going to die. And it's part of the problem, part of the reason that we have so much problem with antibiotics, because the antibiotics kill them, and then you get the diarrhea and all of that because you don't have the stuff that you really need. That's why we take probiotics and prebiotics when we were taking antibiotic. And after we take the antibiotic to reset our gut flora and fauna. Flora being plants and fauna being animals, and they're all bacteria, so I don't know why we call them that. But anyway, so your gut has all this stuff, and there's a gut lining that's one cell thick. And if that gets damaged, or if these flora and fauna aren't doing their jobs, things can get through that lining that shouldn't. And they trigger inflammation in your body, not just inflammation on a cut in your skin, but literally all through your body. And often it winds up in joints, it winds up in organs, it winds up in highly active metabolic tissue. So joints are big, and organs are big for this. You've heard of this. This is where rheumatoid arthritis comes from. It's an inflammatory disease. You're hearing more, if you're listening, you're hearing more and more of this stuff about inflammation. This is what inflammation is. I'm going to talk about it a little bit in 2 weeks, because I want to talk about gluten and dairy-free and a couple other things. So we'll talk about why those things are so important right now and why we're hearing so much about it in the diet press, as it were. So if that's damaged and stuff gets through that shouldn't, then your immune system, this is doing some weird stuff, but then your immune system jumps on it, and let's see if that'll help. Your immune system jumps on it, and it takes the, it puts that, it creates the inflammation in your body. So inflammation then is the body reacting to what it sees as an invader. It's not seeing an invader, so what does it do? It attacks healthy tissue. These are autoimmune disorders where your body is literally attacking itself. So let's go get one more piece of science in here. I know this is big on science this week. GMOs. What are GMOs and why is it important to this discussion? Well, I'm talking about one type of GMO in particular, and these are the plants that are modified to survive Roundup and other, let me get this right because it's glyphosates, and glyphosates, GLYPHOSATE, it is the chemical that's the basis for Roundup, Monsanto's Roundup, and many other very popular herbicides right now. And what glyphosates do is inhibit the production of one specific enzyme, EPSP synthase. And EPSP synthase, if it's not present in the plant, then the plant can't produce the proteins it's supposed to produce, and the plant dies. So what the GMOs happens to the GMOs is the GMO seeds are modified so that they can produce this enzyme anyway, so they grow while the pest plants, the weeds, die. Anything else planted in that field dies. So glyphosates kill plants that aren't treated so they can produce the EPSP synthase. Here's the trick. Humans don't have EPSP synthase. So they're perfectly safe for humans, right? That's what we've been told. Well, we don't have them. But our gut flora and fauna, which are really not human cells, do. So when you take in those glyphosates, what's happening in your body is your flora, your gut flora, not the fauna, the flora, the ones that are have plant-like enzymes and proteins, die. And then they're not doing their job. Okay, circle it back. Why is that important? Because the research is showing more and more that depression is not just a mental disorder, it's not just a lack of serotonin, but it's actually brain inflammation. So inflammation throughout our body creates disorders like Crohn's disease. It creates disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's disease, your thyroid. It creates all of those things that we are now recognizing as autoimmune problems. Because we've activated our immune system, boom, now we have to deal with it, with all these immunities running around trying to do something and saying, oh, that must be the attacker. Oh, that must be the attacker. So we're getting attacked by our own bodies, our own immune system. Apparently, it's quite possible that it's also in our brain. So there's a woman out there, she's a medical doctor, and there's a man out there. The woman's name is Kelly Brogan. She wrote a book called A Mind of Our Own. And there's a guy named Dr. Josh Axe, and he wrote another book about this same thing and about healing your gut through diet. And I think this stuff is really cool, and I think it's worth the test. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to create, first of all, I'm going to test this like I always do. I'm going to test this for a couple weeks starting next week. I'm going to test it for a couple weeks. You'll be able to see how great I look at the book launch, because that'll be a chance for you to see me full length, all dressed up. At the book launch on September 1st at noontime Central Time, 1 o'clock. No, I think it's noon Eastern Time, 11 Central. So you get a chance to see whether or not the diet did any good. Then, the day after Labor Day, which I believe is the 4th of September, 4th, I'm going to start a group. I want 15 people to try this diet for 3 weeks. I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions in the beginning, a whole bunch of questions in the end. I'm going to ask you to do some journaling and some daily stuff. In return, you're going to get all the diet support that I normally do with my private clients for 3 weeks. We're going to do group calls. I'll do individual calls as necessary. We'll do 15-minute, what I call talk you off the wall calls. And if you make it through the 3 weeks, and I don't mean make it through the 3 weeks without cheating, but if you still are participating in the program at the end of the 3 weeks, I'm going to give everybody who makes it through the program, my thank you gift is going to be a somatic conversation, which is a 1.5 to 2 hour conversation between you and your body. In which time it's a Reiki coaching session. It's doing phenomenal things. You can get to the bottom of all kinds of issues that are going on in your life, and it's really, really cool. I'm charging $300 for them, starting here in August. So it's a $300 value. I'm going to give it to you for free, plus you get all the support for your diet, somehow I'm going to give you guys like a daily diet or menu plans, things like that. So you don't even have to go and buy a book. I'm going to help you out with your exercise. We're going to do all of that. So if you are interested, are you ready for this? If you are interested, please email me. I'm Jeanne, Jeanne. If you're in the rest of the world and not Louisiana, that's Jean or Jeannie. And if you're in North Alabama, that's actually Jeanne. And please don't say it. At menopause.guru. So Jean at menopause.guru. Just drop me a quick note. It'll be underneath the YouTube video. It'll be in the email that I send out with the video tomorrow. Let me know you're interested. First 15 people who are willing to commit to it. If you want to jump on the phone for 15 minutes, we can talk about it. Talk about what you're trying to get out of it. Whether or not the diet's going to do that. I'm expecting in 3 weeks. I'm expecting 3 to 7, 8 pounds, maybe even a little more, depending on how much you have to lose. If you have to lose, I'm also expecting tremendous health benefits for it. So I'm looking to see whether or not this is a good diet for everybody. That's my offer. I think it's really, I'm really excited about this because I'm really excited about doing the weight loss group and getting to know you guys. Like I said, 15 people. Doesn't have to be somebody who's currently signed up. So if you have a buddy close by or far away that you know is interested in doing a weight loss, has had problems. We're going to do a whole lot of stuff from Lighten Up, where we do the whys and the why nots and take all that stuff apart for you. We're going to do habit building, and we're going to do, we'll probably have 6 calls during the period of time. So it's really going to be cool. Again, I'm going to throw that up there one more time, john@menopause.guru, GURU. And all you have to do is drop me a note. I haven't put up a sign-up sheet for this. I'm not doing anything really fancy on it. I'm just asking you, if you're interested, email me right away. I'm opening it up to everybody who's signed up for these calls. I'm opening it up to a couple of my online groups that I post in, that I talk to all the time. I'm opening up to a few very special people that I know. I imagine this is going to go really super fast. It's a great time because it's right after kids go back to school. Here, they've already been in school for a couple weeks, but most everybody, the kids are back in school, and even though we're starting early, you can continue on this. And like I said, even if you cheat a little, that's not a big deal. I'm just going to ask you to tell me what happened when you cheated. Did it throw you off? Did it make you feel lousy? That kind of thing. So that's a lot about mood swings. I know I've talked really fast tonight. And, you know, sometimes we have people on the calls, and sometimes, like tonight, everybody's dropped off the call. Haha, you didn't get to hear about the special present. Hopefully you'll watch the replay. Anyway, I'll let you go now. Please feel free to ask me any questions. Send me an email. Let me know what's going on with you. If you've got questions about mood swings or questions about any of the topics we've talked about in the 5 weeks that we've been doing this. Next week, I do have a meeting that runs, okay, it's fine. It's not working. It's fine. Till 7. So I'm going to sneak out of that a few minutes early, and I'm going to do basics. So I might even start that running without me. But I will be here to answer questions by 7:30, so please feel free to watch the basics. I'm going to just talk about basic stuff about what's happening to your body in perimenopause and menopause. It's going to come a lot from my book, which looks like this, is now real, is super. If you're interested in a signed copy, just email me. Same old email address, right? Let me know. I'd be glad to sign a copy and send it to you. So I have a few, and I'd love to send you one. Let me know what's going on with you. I'll talk to you later.